Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Red Devils. And very disappointing to be waking up as a United fan out of the Carabao Cup. What a game it was! Weird game, and shocking mistakes across both teams. To be honest, it's like both goalkeepers last night were trying to outdo themselves with how poor they could be. To be honest, and United toothless in terms of the final product. Only created one real sort of goal. Otherwise, just player mistakes from Spurs. Yeah, look, I mean, credit to Amad Diallo, the closing down of Fraser Forster is obviously something that United have identified, and they put a lot of pressure on him. But yeah, a set piece goal, and apart from that, four goals really poorly conceded, and we have to have some very honest conversations about certain players and the decisions that were made during the match. And once again, Marcus Rashford's going to dominate the headlines after being left out for a second game in the row. And you think about how much money he's being paid, can't really afford to be leaving out somebody some £365,000 a week or whatever. He supposedly is out of the team as consistently as this. So, yeah, not an ideal situation at all, and we need to bounce back this weekend. We win the Premier League, for example, at least, which we should do Sunday against Bournemouth, and you then beat Wolves. Hopefully, you can try and sort of move up that table, but I think we've wasted a big opportunity. So, yeah, before we get into it, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Right, Red Devils supporters, how are we feeling out of the Carabao Cup? Personally, I don't think it's the most important competition in the world, but it offered an opportunity for us to potentially win a trophy. And I think that we've let this one slip, to be perfectly honest. I think Spurs were there for the taking. We conceded some shocking goals. I think Bienda will not see a United game again this season unless there is an injury to Andre Onana. But some really sloppy goals being conceded. Two goals when you can put down to goalkeeping error. Lissandro Martin is really poor in specifically that third goal. I thought he was absolutely dreadful and frustrating because we could have won that game. Should have won that game, I reckon, even with the mistakes we made. Created two goals out of nothing with just putting pressure on Fraser Forster, and we were all over Spurs. Looked like what we were going to try and score goals, and just couldn't find the end product. So once again, it's a close but no cigar situation. The question is, are we disappointed, or is this a competition we don't really care about? I don't think we have the luxury to be snobby about competitions. I don't think we get to. You look at the Carabao Cup and go, no, we don't really need to win it. It's not really an important competition. We need to try and win anything we can right now because we're not winning a Premier League anytime soon. We're not winning a Champions League anytime soon. We've got to get ourselves into the Champions League. Even that, looks like it might not happen anytime soon. So, we can't really just afford to look at games like last night and be like, it doesn't really matter. We don't really care about, winning that sort of competition because we need to try and find as many trophies as possible during this really poor slump. So I think it's frustrating because I think that we missed a really good chance to get into a Final Four and, first playoff game under Ruben Amorim, now we've lost. Now, yes, we showed a bit of fight last night. I suppose that's a positive you can try and take out of it. The fact we went 3-0 down, got ourselves to 3-2, then 4-2, then 4-3, but too little too late. And we've got to start scoring earlier. We really do. Once again, we saw United dominate up front and get on the front foot early in the game, but struggle to find that early goal. And this is the biggest problem. Is I feel this team starts well and we get a lot of confidence, but as soon as we don't get that early goal, it's almost like we then sort of start to panic a little bit and get frustrated, and all of a sudden we allow a team to get back into the game. Now that's not to say you're never going to be able to sort of keep teams out always in the first half, for example, and games will ebb and flow. But I just feel at the moment we've got to find that first goal. We've got to find that early goal. Previously in the season, we were finding those early goals and then capitulating. Last time was complete opposite, where we conceded and then all of a sudden started to click into gear and put pressure on. Well, we conceded 3 and then we started. So frustrating, but we've got to find a way to get that to convert those chances because there's no point. You don't win games with pressure. You win games with goals, and we've got to find ways of scoring goals, which we're not at the moment. Even you look at the goals yesterday, and Fraser Forster with a massive mistake, dreadful from him in both goals, to be honest. And I think that Spurs shouldn't have been playing the ball back to him and putting him under pressure. But at the same time, you look at the modern day goalkeeper, and the expectation is that you can play with the ball at your feet. And the main thing is, what do we think? And it was an interesting team selection last night from Ruben Amorim. Not a team we really expected. And interesting decisions even in the in-game management. I felt last night we really missed Harry Maguire. And it's a very strange thing to say, given how hot and cold he's been throughout his career. But we need to be very honest about Lisandro Martinez, who for the last few months and even longer maybe has not been up to scratch. I thought Lenny Euro last night showed some good glimpses, and I think he'll continue to develop. But I felt we really missed De Ligt and we really missed Maguire last night. And I found it was a very strange decision when we had to substitute Lindelof early not to bring Harry Maguire on and try and bring a bit of calm to that defence. But worrying signs about Lisandro Martinez, who was so good when he first arrived and proved a lot of doubters wrong, but now has been in really poor form. What do you put it down to? What do you think is the reason for the slump of form? And do you think that he can regain that form and get back to his best? Because we need him at his best at the moment, to be perfectly honest, because we've got so many centre-back issues. Lindelof coming back from a long-term injury and then bang, off down once again injured. Evans just come back from an injury. Then Yoris come back from an injury. Martinez has come back from an injury, to be honest. Harry Maguire's come back from an injury. De Ligt's the only one that's been fit for the majority of the season, but wasn't available last night. So your centre-backs continue to be a massive issue for United. And I'm not quite sure how we solve that problem, to be perfectly honest. Now, let's move on to some other news. The more positive news. We're not going to dwell too much on this game. But some very big news in the United front is that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has injected a further $100 million into Manchester United and now owns 28.94% of the club. I think got an extra percent or 1.5% or whatever. It completes the initial $300 million that he was set to invest into the club. He's paid out his personal funds apparently. And basically, the big thing about his cost cutting is to try and make the club a bit more financially sound, so that the injection of cash coming in, that $300 million, can go into, furthering the club, growing the club, rather than just into the operating costs. The big thing as well is that he has now transferred the entire stake into the to Ineos, which is in line with all the other investments they have in their various different sporting entities. However, apparently he is still in control in the stake, and nothing has changed from a structural point of view. It's just the company that's changed. So yeah, look, it was a formality. It was always going to come, for example, but now it has happened. So he continues to be in charge of United, continues to be investing money into United. The question is now, can we invest the money a bit better, for example? Where's that money going to go? What are we putting that money to, and where do we want to see that money go to? Because we need to see transfers, we need to see a stadium, we need to see better training facilities. Carrington currently under construction. We need to see a lot of things happen. Our women's program needs to start being built up a bit more. We need to sort out our scouting system. Apparently five more scouts planning to be added to sort of South America, trying to find players and the likes of that. This is the big thing, isn't it? Is that we're trying to reduce our operational costs so that we can really make sure that the money coming in from Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos and the likes are going to the right places in terms of making the club better, not just making the club, more financially stable and being able to cope with the operational costs. We've got to bring the operational costs down so that we are operating at a profit, so that money can go in to the club into the right places, and we can start finding better ways of using the money that we do bring in. So yeah, exciting times to a certain degree, but also very non-exciting times for Marcus Rashford. So Marcus Rashford's United career continues to be hanging by a thread after he was left out for a second time by Ruben Amorim, who basically said that he selected the team that he felt was the right team, and so down to sort of player attitudes. Like, what I think is, for me, is very telling is that Garnacho was left out over the weekend, recalled to the squad last night on the bench, and used by Ruben Amorim. So he seems to have obviously responded well, and has got himself back in the mix and the likes of that. And I don't think he was terrible when he came on. A couple of nice moments, wasn't fantastic, but the fact that he got recalled and Marcus Rashford didn't means, I reckon, there's an issue, and it wouldn't surprise me if there's been a bit of falling out between the two personalities. So we wait to find out. If Marcus Rashford doesn't appear this weekend, then I think that spells the end of him, to be honest. I think even at the moment we know it's kind of the end. But very, very interesting that Ruben Amorim is sticking by his guns, and he will continue to leave him out, obviously, until something drastic happens in training or happens behind the scenes. And I don't think that's happening anytime soon. So Rashford needs to decide what he wants. And to be honest, I don't really see the point in that. Who's he showing? And he talks about the fact he's not going to badmouth United and the likes of that. But my mate, get yourself back on the team. get yourself playing football. You want to go to the World Cup, don't you, in 2 years' time? How are you going to do that if you're not playing football at the moment? How are you going to do that if you're not going to get a decent move? That's the big thing for me. If as Marcus Rashford, you want to go to the World Cup in 2 years. You want to get yourself back in the England squad. So if you want to move from United, you need to get yourself into a decent team, and you want to make sure you're a big part of that team. So the best thing he can do right now is make amends with Ruben Amorim, get back onto the pitch, go on a run, leave to a good club, and continue that form so that when it comes to the World Cup, you're on the plane and you're back in that England squad and you can get your career back on board. Right now, whether it's training, whether it's an issue he's had with Ruben Amorim, you're not doing anything for your football career by not playing football. You should be doing anything possible to get yourself back on that pitch. Put the ego aside, get yourself back on the pitch. Tell yourself it's only 6 months. Go on a run of form and get your career back on track. I think United have been guilty of a lot of mismanagement when it comes to Marcus Rashford. But right now, he has got the keys to his career, and at the moment, he's just choosing not to get it back on track, which is incredibly frustrating for such what was such a good talent. And to sit there and continue to see this talent being wasted is absolutely brutal and so frustrating. In terms of the weekend to come, so we have Bournemouth on Sunday. We will have an injury update coming from Ruben Amorim at 1:30 today. That's when the press conference is. We'll also obviously have our official preview coming out tomorrow as well. And any major news, we will let you know. But nothing too much. Most of it's basically just the reaction from last night, which was, not good because, once again, we've conceded 4 goals. 4 terrible goals. Spurs are running right against every time we play them. When was that ever the case? When did Spurs have our number? And I thought Spurs were actually at some stage last night incredibly poor, and yet we couldn't really make it count. And that I think is the biggest frustration. Spurs were there for taking, and we couldn't go after them. We couldn't get involved and the likes. But we're going to finish a bit early this Friday. Got a couple of other things to sort out for the weekend's coverage. Please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching.